Hey, if you own a construction business and you've ever thought, if I could just find a couple more A players, then we would be ready to grow. Or maybe you've thought, I can't grow until I have the right people. Then you're not alone. But what if I told you that the real problem that's holding you back from growing isn't what you think? Stick around because later in this episode, I'm going to share a different way of thinking that could change your mind, could change everything. I'll also lay out the first few steps you need to take if your business was to double next year. Hey, you're listening to the Construction Leading Edge podcast from constructionleadingedge.com, where we are all about systematizing your construction business to eliminate chaos and maximize profit, freedom, and impact. My name is Todd DeWalt, the founder here, and my team and I have helped over 400 construction business owners eliminate chaos, grow their profits, and grow their team. So here's what I want you to imagine. Imagine we're on a coaching call, and you and I are sitting down, and I pose this question to you. Imagine that your business doubled in the next 12 months. If you could look into a crystal ball and you could see and know for sure that your sales would double 12 months from now, that you would be doing double the revenue, double the projects that you are currently doing 12 months from now. So think about this. How might that happen? It seems crazy to think your business could double, but maybe you land a couple of big contracts. Maybe you land one or two really good referral partners that send a lot of work your way. Could be that a couple of your competitors go under and all of those customers start coming to you. Maybe there's a developer that says, hey, we want you to be our exclusive builder on these lots. There could be a natural disaster. There were some hurricanes that hit Florida recently. They created a lot of demand for some contractors. Maybe you plan for it. Maybe you plan for this growth. I'm currently working with a couple of clients who are actively growing to scale their business. One through acquisitions and greenfield development, creating new locations. They want to go from 20 million in revenue to about 80 million in revenue over the next few years. Another wants to go from 20 million in revenue to 50 million by organic growth in their current market. What this looks like is if you're doing 5 million in revenue, it goes to 10 million. Maybe you're doing 1 million in revenue and it goes to 2 million, which is for most $1 million contractors to go to 2 million is pretty easy. 10 million goes to 20 million. But as the company grows, maybe you're already thinking this, every problem, every fire, every little seed of destruction and chaos also grows, and not just grows linearly, it multiplies. So the question would be, if your business doubles, would you be ready? Is your business engineered for success to be able to handle double the growth, or would something else happen? So here's what you may be thinking. Let me know if any of these sound familiar. You're thinking, I love the idea of saying yes to big projects, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, how the hell are we going to pull this off? Maybe you already are waking up in the middle of the night, staring at the alarm clock at 2 a.m, thinking about details. Did this get ordered? What about this? Did I respond to this? Oh, I forgot to get this estimate out. Maybe thinking, you're already redlining, and you're thinking, staring down the barrel of burnout already. I can't really keep this up. But maybe you're thinking, I can't really afford to slow down either. You've built something good. You've got a great reputation, getting a lot of referrals, customers like you. But deep down, you know it's not built to scale. It's not engineered to handle growth because it's too dependent on you. You're tired of hiring and training and bringing people on and paying these people and still being the only one who can answer the hard questions. Maybe you're asking, why am I the only one who can handle this? Why are these people I'm paying to solve problems bringing these problems to me? Or maybe you've told yourself, yeah, once we find that we just need a unicorn project manager, a superintendent, an estimator, a salesperson, selections coordinator. And then once we have that person in place, then we'll be ready to scale. When we have that fill in the blank person, then we'll be ready to grow. Well, if that's you, this episode could be the wake-up call you needed, but you didn't know about. Think about this. What happens if you're not ready? And I've seen this a lot, where contractors have either gone after growth, they've started by generating leads, and they started with sales, and they've created all of this growth and all of this demand, but they weren't ready for it. So maybe you're thinking you're already working 60 hours a week. What happens when the chaos doubles? Are your kids ever going to see you again? Will your wife have to show your children a picture of you to say, this is what dad looks like? And like, oh, and the kids are like, oh yeah, I remember him. I remember what he used to look like. He looked a lot younger. He had less gray hair and he seemed happier back in those days. You're constantly putting out fires. Your team's constantly putting out fires. What's going to happen when there are twice as many? And actually, if you double your business, the problems don't just double, they grow exponentially. Then the profit bleeds, the mistakes, the details that are slipping through the cracks. What's going to happen to those profit bleeds if the business doubles? What about your team? Maybe your team's cortisol level is already pretty high. You can see it on their faces. They're overwhelmed. They're redlining. Can they handle anything else? Maybe they're already overwhelmed. Can they handle more growth? What if you had to turn down some of the biggest opportunities of your career because your business isn't structured to handle it? What if somebody came to you with the project of a lifetime or the opportunity of a lifetime, this big project or a showcase project, but either you had to turn it down or they figured out that you weren't able to handle it? And they said, you know what, we're going to go somewhere else. Imagine seeing somebody else building that dream project of yours because the customer figured out you weren't engineered to handle it. Are you building a business that's structured for growth, or are you building a business that's unfortunately unintentionally designed to break and fail under pressure? Let's think about this. Let's look at the future. Let's paint with a magic paintbrush here. And picture what it might look like for you when your business scales the right way. We've helped a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of construction business owners scale their business and actually reduce their stress level while increasing profitability. So imagine this. Imagine you walk into the office at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. You've been to the gym. You've walked your dog. You've had breakfast with your wife. You've done a 5-mile ruck through the desert, if that's your kind of thing, coffee in hand. You walk into the office and you see your team executing on things. You see things happening. You walk by your conference room and your pre-construction team is having a selections meeting with a client, or maybe they're presenting a pre-construction agreement and your team are presenting you with contracts ready to sign, and things are happening. You're just seeing things happen without you. Your team is identifying problems, solving them without you, and things are just running like a well-oiled machine. Or this, better yet, instead of walking into the office, imagine spending a lot of time at your beach house in Mexico. Phone's on silent. You get 1 or 2 phone calls a day, maybe, instead of 60 to 100 calls a day. Projects are running without a hitch. You see the reports coming through, and you have a dashboard that you can look at. And you look at it, see that things are looking good, and then you are off doing other things that you want to do. We have a client who spends 16 weeks a year at their beach house in Mexico. Imagine being able to take your family on a trip to Europe for 2 weeks. Trip of a lifetime. You take your wife, your kids, your parents, in-laws with you before the kids go off to college. We have a client who has done that. We have multiple clients who've taken extended trips away from the business. And think about this. Think about when your kids say, maybe you hear your kids talking and like, hey, it's cool. Dad still owns the company, but we hardly hear him talk about it anymore with mom. And he's much more chill than he used to be, and we're actually taking cool vacations now. Dad comes to my ball games and my recitals, and Dad's available. He's just a much more relaxed dude, and he's not constantly checking his phone and doesn't seem stressed like he used to. Chances are when you started this business, you didn't start this business to be a firefighter. You didn't start this business just to survive. You didn't start this business to make less money than you could as an employee. You probably started it to have freedom from the day-to-day. Chances are you're a visionary. You have big goals and visions, dreams about the future. You want to have an impact. You started this business so you could have financial independence. And you maybe started this business so you could have a legacy that changes the trajectory of your family. and you want to create a source of generational wealth for your business. So think about this. In your situation, this is you and I having this conversation. What would doubling your business, what would it make possible for you? If your business were to double, to go from 1 million to 2 million, 10 million to 20 million, 20 to 40 million, what would that make possible for you? How would life be different for you if you could scale your business, double it the right way? What about for your team? What sort of opportunities might this create for your team if your business were to double? And then think about the impact on your family. How would life be different for your family when your business doubles the right way? Would this be a positive impact on your family? Would you be able to do things for your family that you can't currently do? What would be the impact on your long-term wealth? Think generations. Instead of thinking 30 days, 12 months, think 50 years, 100 years. If your business were to double, what sort of impact would that have on your long-term generational wealth? So if that sounds exciting, that gets your juices flowing, but it's also a little overwhelming, and you're starting to thoughts of how is this going to work? What about this? What about this? If those thoughts are starting to creep in, then you're not alone, right? The real question is your business ready to scale? Should you even try it? Is your business ready to grow? And you have a couple of options to answer that question. One is, probably have three options. One is you could try it and see what happens, see what breaks. Two, you could just go by gut feel and guess at what do you think it's ready to scale? What do you think you should do? Or you could make some decisions based on actual data. You could actually assess your business and make some data. So I've actually put together a free assessment that will help you answer the question, is your business ready to scale? And it's going to show you exactly where your business stands today and what would break first if your sales doubled. And if you want to get your hands on that assessment, it takes a few minutes. There are about 30 questions to answer, and it will give you a customized report and tell you what parts of your business are ready to scale and what parts aren't. So the link to take that assessment is in the show notes. Hey, it's Todd here, and we'll get back to the episode in just a minute. But if you're like most builders and remodelers I talk to, maybe your business feels chaotic. You're working too many hours, you're not making as much money as you should, and it seems like every problem lands in your lap and too much depends on you. That sound familiar? You may be thinking what you need to do is drill a series of 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch diameter holes around the perimeter of your office, insert sticks of dynamite, and blow the whole thing up, and then start over. Well, here's the good news. You're probably just 2 or 3 simple adjustments away from a completely different business. This is what I've found. It's not about working harder. It's not about selling more jobs. You don't need to fire everybody. You don't need to do a complete overhaul. There are not 1,000 things you need to fix, and you don't need dynamite. You just need a few moves that give you maximum results with minimum effort. And that's what I want to help you with. I want to help you uncover those things on a free business evaluation call with our team. Here's what we're going to do on your business evaluation call. We'll uncover the hidden profit that's already in your business. We'll outline the 2 or 3 simple adjustments that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. We'll map out a simple plan so you can have more profit, more control, and ultimately have a business that runs without you. And if it makes sense, we'll talk about how we can work together to help you make that happen. Here's the deal. We only offer a few of these calls a week, and not everyone qualifies. So if you have a wave of work coming at you, or you're planning to grow, now is the time to make those adjustments. Click the link in the show notes right now to schedule your free business evaluation call. Okay, so let's go back to this thought that's probably in your head. If I could just find more A players, then we would be ready to scale. If I could just find that unicorn estimator, project manager, superintendent, salesperson, if I could just find this person, or if this person on my team could just step into the role and actually do what they're supposed to do, then we would be ready to scale. Here's the truth. You don't grow because you have unicorns on your team. You grow because you've engineered a business that allows normal people to win. Let me say that again. Businesses don't grow because they have unicorns on their team. Businesses grow because they're engineered to allow normal people to win. Right? You don't need unicorns. In fact, designing a business around unicorns rarely works. What you need is a system that makes normal people successful. All right. Think about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has this cult-like following. They create traffic problems wherever they go. They have to have multiple drive-through lanes, young people standing out in the rain in their little portable tents with their iPads taking orders because this cult-like following. And here's the thing. The majority of the Chick-fil-A workforce is between 18 and 20 years old. Chick-fil-A stores generate more revenue per location than any other fast food restaurant, and they're closed on Sundays. Is Chick-fil-A successful because they only hire unicorns? No, they're selling chicken sandwiches. By the way, if you ever go to Chick-fil-A and you order a spicy chicken sandwich and you want extra pickles, you have to be very specific about the pickles, all right? My kids used to give me a hard time about this. I ordered pickles. I said, extra pickles. And the first time, I got no pickles. And I said, second time, a couple of days later, like, hey, the pickles are really important. Spicy chicken sandwich, extra pickles. Pickles are super important. I think I got like 2 pickles. So I learned the trick is tell them I want a spicy chicken sandwich with 8 pickles, all right? And if you tell them that, you'll seem like a crazy person, but you will get exactly 8 pickles. That one was for free. So back to Chick-fil-A. They're not successful because they hire unicorns. They built a business. They engineered a business design that allows normal people, most of whom are 18 to 20 years old, to win. This is where most construction business owners get it wrong. And that's why they stay stuck. This is why you probably stay stuck in firefighting mode, because you think you need a unicorn. But what you need to do is engineer your business to scale. Speaking of engineers, I studied civil engineering at the University of Kentucky, and I had this professor named Dr. Wu. And he was a Korean professor, and he had a strong accent. I'm not going to try to duplicate the accent. But one of the things he said over and over and over to us is, you engineers are not that smart. All right, you're not doctors. You don't have to be creative. You're not that smart. Your job is to find the right formula and turn the crank. Find the right formula and turn the crank. And that was super helpful for me, because up until that point, when I was trying to solve these statics problems, which is what he taught, statics, I would try to be creative and like, well, I could do this and maybe it's this way. And I was trying to be creative solving these problems. And then when I finally got his advice through my head, find the right formula, turn the crank, became very simple. Okay, this is one of these problems. I need to find the right formula to solve this problem and turn the crank. I don't have to be creative. And it's kind of the same way with business. You don't have to be creative. Your business is not an art project. There is a formula for engineering a business for growth, and you just need to find the right formula and turn the crank. So here is the formula. 3 key steps to engineering your business to scale. If you want your business to double, then here are the first 3 steps. Step 1 is to assess your business. Take a good, hard look at your business. This is your baby. Maybe your baby could be ugly, okay? But the good news is, if you have an ugly baby of a business, there's something you can do about it. If you have an ugly baby in real life, maybe they'll grow out of it, but not much you can do about that. But with your business, if you have an ugly baby, there are things you can do. So you need to assess your business, take a good, hard look at your business. Probably a good idea to get a third party, an outsider who's not emotionally attached to your ugly baby, to look at your business and ask questions like, where is the chaos and the friction today? Where's the chaos? What's not working? Where are the fires popping up? What are the chronic problems? Where are details falling through the cracks? Another good part of this assessment would be to do a profit bleed triage. When my wife has forced me to watch a lot of Grey's Anatomy and ER over the years, and when a GSW comes in, a gunshot wound comes in, they got to find the bleeding. They've got to stop the bleeding. And so they do a triage. And this is a good thing to do with your business. Where's the bleeding? Where are the profit bleeds? Is it rework, lost productivity, schedule delays, giveaways, equipment costs, overhead costs? Do a profit bleed triage. This is a good indication of where the problems are. And then here's a good question to ask. One of the other things I learned in engineering is, what's the failure mode? Take a good, hard, objective look at your business and ask, if my business doubled, what is most likely to break? What is the failure mode? How is this going to fail? In engineering, we would look at a beam or a column or a footing or soils and ask, what's the failure mode? What's most likely to fail here? And then engineer for that. And you need to do the same thing with your business. What's most likely to break? So step one is assess your business. Come up with some data to make decisions on. Step number two is to engineer your organization to handle the load. All right. Engineer your organization to handle the load if it were to double. When it comes to organizational design, there are two fundamentally different approaches. Approach number one is to design your business around your current people. What that means is you may be doing this right now. I'm thinking about, all right, if I double the business, then how are my current people going to be able to handle it? Approach number one is to design your business around current people. Their nuances, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, their limitations. Maybe you have some unicorns on your team that your business is already designed around. And the issue with that is when you design your business around people, that means you're designing your business around their limitations. You're also putting yourself in a situation where if that person ever leaves, then you have to find somebody just like them that does that certain blend of things. Maybe they're working on marketing and they're reviewing invoices and they're also doing some pre-construction and then they're doing electrical walkthroughs or they're dealing with your trucks and equipment and they're just doing all of these different things across different parts of the business. That person's really hard to replace. So option one is to design your business around people. Option two is to design your business the way you want it to run and then find people and grow people into those roles. So don't build around your current people. Don't design your business around your current people. Build it around the outcomes that you want, right? This is sort of like if you're a custom home builder, imagine you hired someone to build a custom home for you and they said, great, we're excited to get started with you. Here's the thing, just go to Menards and pick out whatever you want. We'll build whatever you want as long as we can get it from Menards. And you would say, well, what if I want something that's not available at Menards? You would say, they would tell you, not going to happen. Our business is designed around products that are available from Menards, and that's it. So don't engineer your business around people. Design it to produce the outcomes that you want. Another part of engineering your organization is to create your accountability chart. And this accountability chart clearly defines who is accountable for what results, who is accountable to whom. You need to look at things like how many projects can each person handle? How many superintendents do you need? How many project managers do you need? What does your estimating team need to look like? What does your pre-construction team need to look like? What does your operations team need to look like to be able to handle this additional load? So think like a structural engineer. Structural engineers, here's how they think. When they're designing a building, they start from the top down. They start with the loads. What are the loads? Wind loads, snow loads, live loads, dead loads, seismic loads. What are the loads that are going to be on this structure? And then they design the roof structure, the beams, columns down to the footings, and then make sure that the subgrade can handle that as well. So think like a structural engineer, figure out what the loads are going to be, number of projects, volume of transactions, number of, even down to the sales side, how many appointments will a salesperson need to run in order to generate what needs to be generated, and design your organization to handle the load. Step three is to design the process. Design the process that you're going to follow. This is a giant gaping hole in most businesses, and it is one of the reasons why companies can't scale. And in fact, it's a root cause of failure. A study that was done by the FMI Corp on why do successful construction companies fail, not just stagnate. Why do they fail? They found one of those root causes was the lack of standard operating procedures. So you have to have a documented process. People on the team need to know, how do we do things? They need to know, this is how we do it here at our company. And if you're wondering where to start, my advice is start by designing and documenting your pre-construction process, because this is where most of the chaos can be traced back to. I've done root cause analysis for a lot of companies, and most of the chaos can be traced back to bad handoff from the office to the field, bad handoff from estimating to operations, bad handoff from pre-construction to construction. So start with your pre-construction process. Document that, step-by-step instructions. When it comes to your processes, think single source of truth. You need to have a single source of truth. All of the answers to the question, how do we do this, should be in one place. They can't be in different Teams folders and scattered about in different Google Drive, in co-construct, builder trend. It can't be in all different places. You need to have a single source of truth. So that everybody on your team needs to be able to go to one place and find the "this is how we do it" playbook, right? Every professional sports team has a playbook. Every professional team has a playbook. You need a playbook. A players want a playbook. They want to know, how do we do things? Where do I find this information? That's your job to create that. A couple of other things to think about as you're designing your process is, one of the things I would recommend is grab a Post-it note, write this question. How can this be the last time I answer this question? Stick that on your wall, on your computer, and every time a question comes up, think, how can this be the last time I answer this question? And a great way to do that is to answer the question in your playbook and then share the updated playbook with your team. And I heard something from one of our clients named Cole. He was on the podcast a while back. We helped he and his team create their "This is how we do it" playbook. And what he started doing when somebody from his team would ask him a question, he would say, "That's a great question. Is there somewhere you can look to find that information?" Wouldn't it be great to have a playbook that you could direct your team to answer most, if not all, of their questions? Design the process. And for bonus points, as you're creating your single source of truth, for bonus points, there are three things you want to build into your single source of truth, your process that you're designing. Number one is the what. What needs to be done and in what order? This is a documented process where people can go and look at it and say, all right, step one, step two, step three. The second part of that is the how. Build in training resources into your document. So if there's step one is do this, think here's a link to a training video, or here's a screen recording of how to do this thing. So you have the what needs to be done, and then bake in the how, the training into it. And then for a lot of extra bonus points to close the loop is build in a way to validate that it was done. This is what I would call the show me. So it's one thing for somebody to go through a process and then watch the training, but did they actually do it? And did they do it properly? This is where the validation comes in. So build in a way for your team to check what they did and then validate and show you that they actually did it. Missouri is the show me state. So I like to say, I'm going to pretend like I'm from Missouri. Show me what you did. 3 steps to engineer your business for scale. Remember what Dr. Wu said, famous words of Dr. Wu. Find the right formula and turn the crank. So step 1 in that formula is assess your business. Step 2, engineer the organization to handle the load. And then step 3, design your process for your team to follow. So if you've been thinking, I want to grow, I want to double, but I really don't know what needs to change, then here's your next step. Get some data about your business. Find out if your baby's ugly, what you need to do to fix it. Go take our assessment. Is your business ready to scale? It only takes a few minutes. 30 questions you can answer very quickly, and it'll show you the blind spots you need to fix before you try to grow. The other option is just try it and see what breaks, but that can be very expensive and painful. If you want to take that assessment, the link is waiting for you in the show notes. And then if you want our team's help designing your business to scale, and you would like help from our team to build it all out for you, to build out these processes, to do an in-depth assessment of your business, create a list of what needs to be built out, and then actually build out these systems and processes, then hand the keys over to you and help you install them in your business, then the first step is to apply for a business evaluation call with my team. And you can go to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY, or the links in the show notes as well. Thanks for listening. More information on that business evaluation call coming up in just a minute. See you next time. Hey, it's Todd here. Before you go, remember this. If your business feels stuck or chaotic, chances are you're only 2 or 3 simple adjustments away from unlocking more profit, finally getting your life back, and having a business that runs without you. We want to help you identify those adjustments on a free business evaluation call with my team. Click the link in the show notes to book your free call. Remember, calls are limited. Not everybody qualifies. So go book your call, and I'll see you next time.